I want you to bookmark this video and return to it at the end of every single quarter in your sales career, because I'm about to teach you as bulletproof of a talk track that exists that will help you defend price and negotiate and close deals on time without having to discount 20%, 30%, whatever. So this is a simple 3-bucket talk track. Okay, you're at the end of a sales cycle. You've gotten everything out of the way except for price with your customer. You've gone through legal, you've gone through everything, and now it's just about price. And they're pushing back on you. Maybe it's your champion, maybe it's procurement pushing back on you. Doesn't matter. You're going to respond the same way. As soon as they push back on price, you are going to say, at this stage, if we're still getting price resistance, it typically happens for one of 3 reasons. Okay, the first reason is value. You're simply not sold on the business value, the financial value of this. And so you're pushing back on price to make sure you're more comfortable with the financial value. Okay, that's bucket 1. Bucket number 2 is logistics. You are sold on the value. You're sold on the business case, but there is something preventing you from moving forward still. Maybe you don't have cash on hand. Maybe there's some sort of logistical issue preventing you from pulling the trigger, even though you're sold on the value. And then number 3 is you're just being a good steward of your company's capital, and you're trying to get the best deal possible. Now, there's only one of 3 possibilities here. Which of those 3 buckets do you fall into? And so what you're doing with this talk track is you're isolating price resistance into something that can be managed and solved, right? If they mention the first one, they say, well, I just don't see enough of value here. First of all, if you're talking to a champion or anybody who's not in procurement, you're probably in trouble. If it's the last day of the quarter, you're probably not getting that deal closed on time. But when they answer in that way, assuming you do have enough time to close it on a timeline that's acceptable to you, it's an invitation to sell them on the value, right? So if it's procurement saying that, which they're going to say that a lot, we're just not sold on the value, then you simply respond with, well, how familiar are you with the business case that me and Mr. or Mrs. Champion put together? And now all you've done is created an entryway to sell them on the business case. Now, if it's anybody else, if it's your champion or an executive or something like that, then you simply slow down now so you can speed this deal up later. If they said, well, we're just not totally sold on the value, then you take a step back and you say something like, all right, it seems like we skipped literally the most fundamental step of this potential partnership. I think we should go back in time a little bit and start making sure we're all aligned on the problem we're solving and the stakes or what's at stake in solving that problem. And so now you go back to discovery. Sometimes you don't have to go all the way back. Sometimes you can do this quick and still get your deal closed on time. But the point is, now you know how to solve the issue. Now, if they respond with number 2, they say, look, we want to do this. And we want to do this today or this week or whatever. We're sold on the value, but we've got an issue. Okay, now, if there's just a logistical constraint preventing them from buying, it opens the invitation for you to ask more questions about that. All right, well, tell me about your budget situation. Let me in on what's going on, and let's get on the same side of the table so we can start solving this together. I can't tell you exactly what the solution is going to be, but now you can start problem solving in partnership with your customer, right? If they say, well, cash is short, and you ask a few other questions and you find that breaking payments from annual payments into quarterly or semi-annual would help, or keeping annual payments but delaying billing terms to net 30 or net 60 or whatever, as long as it's acceptable to you, now you have a problem you can wrestle with, right? You can't solve price resistance unless you know the source of that price resistance. And that's exactly what this talk track does. Now, it's rare, but every now and then somebody will answer with the 3rd bucket, which is you gave them the option to say, you're just being a great steward of your company's capital and just trying to get the best deal possible. It's rare, but sometimes people will say that's the case. And at that point, your emotional intelligence skills are going to come to bear. You're going to have to make them feel that they are getting a fair deal and it's a win-win for both companies and you've given a fair price. So try that talk track when you're at the end of a sales cycle, you're getting price resistance, try to get them to narrow themselves down into one of those 3 buckets And then you can start solving from there and get the deal closed far faster and with a higher price than if you didn't use this talk track.